and growing sustainably. There's no monocropping or anything like that. It's really about getting people back connected to the earth directly and living in a more sustainable way. We have spring water coming from wells nearby. We have a lot of I guess like hundreds of different fruit trees, and we have things like ylang ylang and lemongrass, ginger, all these things growing here, as well as a greenhouse. And the owner actually has goats which he milks from as well. So it's kind of like living as close as we can as modern humans to a sort of self-sufficient way of the past, but also, you know, here I am on the computer with fiber optic internet giving a video class. So it's kind of like it's a nice cross between those two worlds. And I think somehow, as humans moving forward into this new era, we have to integrate those two worlds, because we're no longer living just pure on the earth, and we're also don't want to be totally technological beings. So anyway, we can see hopefully on the video here, I've been recording on the farm here. We can see this is actually cacao on the tree growing. This is a cinnamon plant. Just this ginger I just pulled up from the garden outside my house here. And then we have cacao, which is actually from local communities who work with cacao, and it's direct from the growers from the local farmers market. And so this video is about conveying how we work with cacao to make a stimulating, enjoyable drink, but also to really connect people with the ingredients of the earth, and to show that it's all real and it's all coming from here, and we as humans can start reconnecting with simple ingredients, but also live a great life as well. All right. Anyway, that's more of the ideas of the video rather than the technical aspects. Does anyone have any questions before we get started on the technical stuff? Okay.
So
All
should we
right.
should we have our thing opened up as well, like our program at home here?
I think actually, yeah, it's a good idea, because when we're going through, you can take the steps as well. And if there's any issues or anything, any roadblocks you hit, we can kind of address them in the class.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
I
So
have a
yeah, if we all
question.
load up DaVinci Resolve. Oh, sure, go ahead.
Okay. So it's more technical. If you upload your video on DaVinci and it says the frame doesn't match, and it says, do you want to match it to the current project size? And it also says you cannot undo this act. Do you like match it, or what do you advise?
So yeah, my advice would be to get a project setting that you're happy with, and then anything you put in, just put it into the format of the project so that everything's unified. So I think, Kaoru, we discussed this before, and we were talking about file formats, and you were saying your preference was 30 frames per second, right?
Yeah, so like you said, Ronan, I totally agree. You want like a very kind, universal editing format to work in. So I generally work in the frame size is 1080p, which is progressive. So that's the full HD size. And then the frame rate, how many images per second, that's 30 is the video standard. So with your question, Ajarat, it's like that it's asking you if you want to create your project in the setting of the video you just added. But you know, sometimes we're ingesting in media from all sorts of different formats. Some are smaller than 1080, some are bigger, some are different frame rates from phones or the internet or what have you. So instead of committing to whatever the first video that you imported is, like Ronan said, you can actually set it up in these very universal settings that you're not going to run into any problems with, and then all the media that comes in will adapt to that format. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And don't worry, it's kind
Yeah.
of scary language, like you can't change it again. You can change it again. You can make your settings the way you want them.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the way I approach this, for example, is when I'm shooting with a DSLR camera, I'll set it to like 30 frames per second, 1080p, I think is the standard. And so the first time I import that in, the project will say, hey, do you want to set it to this? And I'll be like, yes, because that's what I'm working at. And so then, as Kaoru said, if you import a file from anywhere else, it's just automatically going to convert that to be
Oh, Ronan, looks like you had a little bit of a freeze there. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I'll just fill in while Ronan's frozen there. So, like if you know the format of the footage you're going to be using and using one camera throughout, then yes, you can change the timeline setting to that first clip that you bring in. But if it's a unique format, then it's probably better to intentionally set your sequence settings.
Kaoru, I have a just question. Do we need to upload video as well as photo in the project? We need to create new project and then we will upload them into our project?
Yeah, so basically, my preference is to sort of focus on video in videos, but definitely you can include still images to support the video. And just a sort of clarification of language, the language of the video editing program, when you bring a new file in, you call it either importing or ingesting. Typically using the term uploading is used for when you, at the end of your project, you post it up onto YouTube or something, like you would upload it, just so there's no confusion. So the first step is you take your file from your phone, you transfer it to the computer, okay, onto your hard drive, or you download files from the internet or webinars or Zoom onto your hard drive, and then you'll import or ingest those files into DaVinci. And it's very important that you kind of manage your files well, because you want to make sure you know where all of your content is for your video, safe and sound on your hard drive. Because if you start moving around files or whatnot, then something can go missing, and you won't be, your video will have a big missing file logo where you thought your footage should be. So try and consolidate all your footage into one folder on your hard drive, and then you'll be ready for your import.
Will that also happen if you rename files after you import them? Will they go blank?
Exactly. It's like a website. It's like it breaks the linkage, right? So you want to, before you ingest your file or import it, put them all safe and sound in your folder, renamed everything, import them. And if you want to do any file renaming after that, you can do some renaming within DaVinci. It's not going to actually be renaming your source file. It'll just be giving you some maybe information on that file that DaVinci reads. But that's a really good question. You want to keep all your files consolidated and don't adjust them. Oh, I see you're back, Ronan.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I had a little bounce in the internet here, but it seems to be fine now. So hopefully, is my screen still sharing? Let me check. Here we go. Okay, so hopefully you can see this again now. So if we look, we have the projects up here, and I think something important to look at is if you see this little switch up the top left here, left of projects. If everyone can see that. you can just hit this switch here, and actually it will then show you where it's going to be like this local database. And then if you hit on this little eye, it'll show you exactly where the project you're working on is going to be saved, which is really helpful. And this is basically the default setting for it. So if at any point you need to establish where your files are, this will show you.
Can I just add to that, Ronan? Yeah, that is critical, because that location there that Ronan pointed out, that's where your project file is going to be, and any other media files that get generated through the process of editing. And I find it really helpful to include all my source material that I've collected from different cameras, downloads, whatnot, and put them all in that same location as my project file, so that it's a bundle that you control. And then if you have to, you can take that folder and move it to another computer, move it to another location, and your project won't be broken.
And additionally to that, actually, DaVinci has some very good exporting tools where you can package the whole folder and everything you've used and put it, and then just send that. And actually the paid version as well, you can actually collaborate on the same project at the same time over the internet. But anyway, I digress. So let's go back here. So yeah, this is on the home screen, which is the little house down the bottom right. So you'll want to start a new project, basically. Okay. And maybe I'll just start a new project so that we can look through it, and I can come back to this in a second. Oh, just seeing here. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So maybe if you can update me and just give me a thumbs up if you've managed to make a new project. Okay, cool. Yeah, seems like we're good then. All right, so then the first thing we're going to want to do is go to the media window at the bottom here, bottom left, and then you can start importing whatever media it is you want. You can also do this on the edit page. Has anyone imported some media onto their computer yet? Or if not, we can maybe just talk a little bit about how to do that.
I think that would be a great thing to cover, because it's just so critical.
Okay, sure. So, for example, I could take my phone here. Let's say I have a video on there. I would simply just get my USB cable, plug it into the laptop, and then it's going to come up both on here. Let me see if I can actually just do this, and then we see it. Depending on whether you have a Mac or a Android. So look, it's showing the USB is connected. And then it's asking allow access. So I'm just going to allow access here. Okay. And now on my computer, let me just share my screen here and the files. Yeah. So now you should be able to see here I actually have my SD card has popped up. And so we can just double click on that and go into whatever folder you want and just copy and then put it into your computer wherever you want it. So let's just say I'm just going to put it on here for now. And then we transfer that over. And then when that's done, you have the folder there. So depending on whether you've got a Apple or if you've got an Android, you're basically going to have different places where the information is stored. For example, I think if you're doing like video, I just cancelled that. If you're doing video on a phone, I think there's a folder that contains the video. So it's just a case of seeing where, and it's different on each phone. So you're just going to need to look up where the files are saved on your phone. For example, with mine, I think they're under DCIM movies. So you would just need to look in your files on your phone and find where everything's being saved. And alternatively, if you had it on a memory card, for example, if you were using a camera, you just put the memory card in and pull up the folder, and once again drag those files into wherever you're planning to store stuff. I find it can be helpful just to create a new folder, as Kaoru was saying. Create a folder and put all your files in there, and then you can work from there. Is that clear roughly to everyone? Has anyone able to successfully transfer a file onto their computer? Sorry, go ahead, Kaoru.
I just wanted to just add on. For me, I have an Android phone and an Apple computer, and I need to use the software Android file transfer. It's a free software in order to transfer my files from the phone to the computer. So if anybody's in that situation, that's how you do it.
Yeah, so I think it's just worth checking individually how your phone operates, because they're all a bit different. But it should be a relatively simple process of plugging in, allowing access, and then dragging the files onto the computer. Okay. All right. So I'm actually just going to don't save. So all right, so I'm just starting a new project here. Okay. So let's just say we all have this. We have a new project. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a video I want. And I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to click it in the file. And then I'm going to drop it on there. And so we can see it says change project frame rate. And so I'm just going to click on change for now. And let's just update this. Share that to there. Okay. So now what we have is we have the clip that I've just dragged in, and I can just simply put that on the timeline if I want. Okay. Right. So maybe if everyone just wants to just try dragging one file from their folder on their computer into DaVinci Resolve, just to see how that works. I'll let you do that. And I'm just gonna now talk about the cut page. So talking with Kaoru about how he approaches video editing, and he said it's good to get all the clips in, and then within those clips find where you want the start and end points of each individual clip. So for example, I have this eagle now, and the eagle, let's say for example I just wanted the part where he looks towards the screen. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to trim up to that point here using this. You can see his head turns there. Okay. So let's get just before the head turn. Okay. Something like that is perfect. And then if we do the other end as well. So let's say we just want one head turn and then just before he turns back. Okay, great. So now you can actually see on here there's a line on the clip. There's two white lines that signify where we have trimmed to. So we have a little off here and a little off here. Now if we go to the edit page, we can actually drag that one on. Now you can see it's actually considerably shorter than the original clip. So we have the original clip. And then we have the edited version, which is here. Just the part we want. Okay. All right. So maybe if for those of you who have a clip, we can just have a quick try at just trimming down the clip in the cut window.
I have a question. So
Sure.
my phone jack is not working. My phone's for my laptop, it's not really connecting. So I'm just going to use something from my video library.
Sure.
But when I try to drag the image from photos in my Apple, it's not allowing me to do that. Or it's like I'll just simply drag the photo to the media pool area where you showed us, and nothing's happening. So am I supposed to do something to the photo or the video, sorry, in the photo section of my Apple before I drag it?
So is the file still on your phone, or have you put it on the computer?
It's in my photos in my Apple.
Well, I would recommend not using the Photos app, you know, Christopher. So if you could just navigate to your images through Finder, I think it'll work out well for you.
Okay, I think that
Photos app is terrible in my opinion. I've like basically deleted it because it always starts up and bogs down my system.
Okay.
I just use Finder or on the Windows side, Windows Media Explorer, to manage all my files before bringing them into the video editor.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's important just for the file managing aspect part of it, to make sure you have everything in the folder you want to work from, rather than a bit here and a bit there. Maybe, Kaoru, you use Macs, right? So maybe you know a little bit more about how to move files from the phone to the Mac.
Could you show this part that you show us again?
Okay, sure. So we are bringing in a clip. Let's bring in a different clip. I'm going to bring in a waterfall this time. And so I'm just dragged it onto the media pool here, up the top left. Okay. Now I can just double click on it. And now I have this waterfall is now in my window to be trimmed to the length I want it. Okay, does that make it any clearer for you, or do you need a bit more information?
No, I think it's clear. So when you double click it, it shows to the right side, yeah, on the window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And then just underneath the actual image here is the timeline bar where you can trim.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So I think that's okay. And now we'll go back to the edit screen, and I'm going to drag in the waterfall clip.
Could you make something clear about it? You are showing 3 screens actually. Upper side, you are dragging the video. Then this is the trimming screen. Then what other 2 screens on the lower side that you show us?
Sorry, is that better now? Are you just seeing one screen I'm sharing? Is that right?
Yes, but this screen is 4 parts. I'm looking into first part. The first you are trimming that. Then the lower part, there is 2 parts on the red side, on the red border. there is two parts actually.
Yeah, okay, sure. So I think if I go back into the cut screen here, right? Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we have the option here to just choose the length of the video clip we want. And then when we feel like happy that we've got the length of the clip we want, we can click on the edit screen down the bottom. And now we can drag that into the edit screen to work on the edit rather than just working on the trimming. Does that make it any clearer? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's okay.
Ronan,
Yeah, okay.
maybe I have a little idea. Maybe we could just take a brief moment to do a little bit of a tour of what some of these different windows do, or what the different tabs are, just to kind of get a lay of the land, and then I think that might be helpful.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the media window. So the media window down the bottom left here shows you what media files we actually have and what we're using, and it also gives you access up the top left here to your entire file system. So if you know, for example, you've put a file in a particular folder, you can just go in there and find it. Okay. And then the cut screen, which is to take those clips and cut them to the length you want, which we just looked at. Okay. And then the edit screen is kind of where you pull. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, once you do the cut and you like the cut, what do you do to finalize it? You just, because I just cut it, and then now is that finalized, or do I have to press a button after I kind of cut it into where I want it to be?
That's actually the great thing about DaVinci. It just kind of does everything. So yeah, once you're happy with the cut, it's already set up here. If you want to double check it, if you look in the media window up the top left here, you'll actually be able to see on the clip where the trims are. So for example, on the waterfall, we can see there's one white line here and one here that shows the trims. Yeah. And also here on the eagle, one white line here and one white line there.
Yeah, I see that on mine.
So that just so that signifies where it is. And what's great about that is it's non-destructive. So if you want to go back and change it, you just can.
And how like I was gonna ask, like if I do the cut, how can I go back to the original? Because like right now I see the lines on there, but what if I don't like that particular one? Because for me, there's no other clip in the box. It's just the one that I just edited.
Yeah, sure. So you could just go back into cut. You can double click on the clip again, and you can just simply adjust the edges.
No kidding. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's simple.
Yeah,
all right.
It's great. Yeah, super simple and non-destructive. So you're never like getting rid of stuff. You don't have all this undo process. You just go back and rearrange it, and you're ready.
It's great. So on the media pool on the left, that's your whole clip. It's your entire clip. And when you go into the cut window, I feel like you're just making a selection of the part you want, but you're not actually modifying the original. And when you bring that clip, the selection into your timeline through the edit, that's only bringing the selection down, right? But like Ronan said, you can just go back, create different selections, bring down different parts of your original. You can do that as many times as you want, which when you're dealing with a long interview, that's the process. You go in, you bring in a little part, then you go back to the original, and then you sort of patchwork together a whole bunch of different selections from your media clip.
And something you touched on actually when we were having a session here was that actually you can kind of do it live. You can hit space bar and then you can hit space again when you want to cut it, so that you can actually kind of be watching back an interview and you can be going, all right, he said that. Oh, he said that. And then you can just use kind of like a live feeling, almost like playing music, to then trim to the points you want. Okay.
That's right. I actually set mine up so the I button is for in, where you start the selection, and the O button's for out, where you end it. So you just hit start to play. You just play it back, and you can literally have your eyes closed, and you just, when you know that the part is, when someone's speaking, is coming up, you just hit the I to begin your selection, hit the O to end your selection, and then you have a very well-timed clip.
Kaoru?
Yeah.
To get you, to be sure I heard you clearly, you said you set the button control as to what it can do.
Well, when sorry, I didn't explain that. When I started up DaVinci Resolve for the first time, it asked me if I wanted to use keyboard shortcut settings from another program. So I selected Adobe Premiere because that's the one I'm most familiar with. And then those keyboard shortcuts, the I and the O, are set up from that system. I don't know what the native keyboard shortcuts are for DaVinci Resolve. For the I and the O, so I don't know for sure if that's.
It's actually the same here. You can see I'm pressing I there, I'm pressing O there, and it's choosing that selection. So yeah, I for in and O for out, and that works perfectly.
Okay, that's great. Right. Thanks for clarifying that. That's I find it to be a very intuitive and fluid workflow for doing the clip selection.
Okay, great. And it's with all software like this, anything you're using, it can be really helpful just to pull up the keyboard shortcuts. There's usually a page in help, or you can Google it. And it's super helpful if you're using software like this to just remember a couple of keyboard shortcuts. It just speeds up your workflow so much. Right. Okay, so going back to the edit screen then. So we can see we have these clips I've edited here and here. And so now we can just watch what I've got. Okay, so we've got the eagle, and then we're going to a waterfall. I'm not sure about the continuity, but anyway, there we go. Okay, all right. The next page we have down at the bottom here is called Fusion. And this is like a 3D rendering program that's super advanced for lighting and particles. We don't really need to touch on that today, but just be aware that it's a super in-depth program. And if at any point you want to explore it, it has infinite power. Let's go to the next page is color. So for me, color is a super helpful part of this program. We've got all these color reels. We have like, I'll tell you what, we'll come back to this in a little bit more detail, but for now, I'll just show you, for example, we can do contrast here. We can adjust the offset and the highlights. You can heighten the shadows. You can turn down the lights. And you should be able to see kind of up in the middle how it's affecting the image. If any of you have used Lightroom or something like that to edit photos, you'll see it's a similar process with this. So you can see this was the original clip, and now this is after I've edited it. So you can see it's made a dramatic difference actually. But yeah, I think I'll come back to that in more detail in a little bit. One thing that's nice on here is actually you can add blur. If you can see the image, fully blurred and really sharp. And so it's nice if you have like low quality video, for example, you can just soften it a bit so it doesn't look so harsh. Okay, Fairlight is the next one. And this is actually an audio program. So we can see, for example, playing back, we have audio on this clip and you can turn it up and down on here. It's like a mixing desk for audio. And once again, I think we'll come back to that and go a little bit more in detail. And then the final window is the deliver window. And the deliver window is helpful for actually printing out your video. So let's say you're happy with your video and you want to put it on YouTube, for example. Up the top left here, you actually have presets that you can just simply click on. So you can click on YouTube, you can click on Vimeo. So if you wanted to put it onto a YouTube video, it actually just has a preset that you just press, and you don't even have to worry about what format the video is in or anything like that. And it has different ones. It has the master, which is if you want it like uncompressed, full quality, and then you have it all for different programs as well. Like let's say you wanted to edit it in Final Cut, or you wanted to do just the audio, you have all the options there.
This is amazing, Ronan. Like these export settings simplify the process so much. Like back in the day when we used to edit videos, we had to remember all these complex numbers and system settings, and it was very technically complex. Now it's so accessible. So you guys have the power to be able to create your video and publish it, and you could just do it all right here. And even this H.264 master, that's a really wonderful one too. I create a master of every video. It's a high quality version I'll keep on my hard drive, and all the settings are just right there for you. So that's fabulous.
Yeah, it really is great, because in the past it was kind of memorizing all the different codecs and seeing what you needed for what, and it was I think I spent more time on figuring out which codecs to export than editing on some videos, honestly. So all right, okay, so look, let's go back to the edit page. Before I continue, does anyone have any questions or need any clarification just on the little overview of what's in this?
Well, the edit page, mine does not look like yours, like on the bottom part. Mine just has like a video, just a video clip that I edited. Actually, no, it doesn't even have that. It just has like boxes.
Chris, do you want?
Okay, so what?
I can get him to share the screen if that helps, or let's.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
I was coming into the same problem with my edit window. I'm using an older version. I don't have as many options at the bottom, but it just showed a clip in the edit window until I dragged one of the media clips from the pool down to the timeline, and then it turned into a timeline for me. But maybe if we see yours, it would be helpful.
Let me just give me a second here. Remember how to do this here. Okay, share.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing actually, because I think it won't show up until you actually pull the clip down, but let's have a look. And yeah, I think versions of DaVinci before 15 didn't have all these different options at the bottom. It was a different format.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
Great. So if you click on that one that says image 8466 and click it and drag it onto your timeline.
This here?
Mm-hmm.
Drag it in here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Down onto that rulered bit.
Drop it to the right. Perfect. There you go. Yep.
Sorry, just a video of my daughter running around in circles, so I apologize.
So yeah, if you press play now or press space, it should play back the clip for you. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Awesome. And
okay,
then,
cool.
Okay. All right. I'll just stop now.
All right. Great. Thank you.
That's perfect.
So let's have a look at. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, Ronan. I just wanted to sort of bring up one point. I know we're just using test footage, but I did notice that a clip you were using, Chris, was a vertical shot. And I just wanted to use that opportunity to remind everybody how it's very useful to shoot everything horizontal for this project.
I remember you said that last class, and I was thinking of all the videos that I've done horribly wrong.
I've definitely done that a few times as well. I have some very excellent shots of vertical waterfalls that I'll never be able to use for anything.
Yeah, I'd like to share my screen for a few things. Could you kindly have a look into it?
Okay.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah, sure. Mhm.
Yeah, just I have dragged this one. Can you see the bamboo video bamboo
Mhm.
bridge? Yeah, and now I would like to edit this part. How I would edit then how I do this?
So do you want to trim the clip? You want to make it shorter?
This one, yeah.
So yeah, you've got two options. You can go back to the trim screen, which is the box at the bottom, one to the left. So if you go down all the way to the bottom of the screen, directly below where you are, yeah, there you go. You can clip on that. Click.
Okay.
And then if you double click on the clip you want up the top left here, so just
Yeah.
under master, if
This
you
one?
move the mouse to the left,
This one?
yeah, double click on it.
Okay.
And now you can see on this screen, you see the little brackets. Yeah, just slightly between the two, the master window and
Yeah.
the video window, you can actually see the audio file underneath, and you can click on the edges of it and adjust the edges to pull them in to where you want the clip to be, how long you want the clip to be.
No, I'm not sure about it. Sorry.
So if you just move the mouse just above where the play button is, so from there, move the mouse to the right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
More.
And down to, can you see the green wave file? It's the audio file. So from there, go down about halfway.
No, I think we can practice later on. I think, okay.
Yeah.
I can also show you on mine
Yeah.
how that would work.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Almost
think.
made it. So do you see where the man is looking like he's going down? Right below there is the green. But yeah, if you shot there, you almost got it down. It's the wave file down there.
Yeah.
There.
This green. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry.
And if you go to the left edge of it, and you should see your mouse change into a bracket. You see where the little arrow is? Just
Yeah.
move your mouse over the arrow. Yeah, there you go. And now if you
Yeah.
click, yeah, there you go. Now if you click on that and pull it, you're going to adjust the clip.
Okay. Just
So
I
holding
drag.
the mouse down.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You saw it change. Now you move it to the right. Yeah, can you see you've trimmed off the start of it now? You see the frame 0 and 1 are no longer in it. Yep, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
I would also actually just like to show you guys another way of doing that, which is also maybe helpful. But yeah, sorry. Was it focus?
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I wasn't even mute. Oh, that's why. Yeah. So you upload your video file that you want to edit on this software, and then you start editing, right? Did you hear? Did you hear me?
Sorry, could you say again?
I'll have to upload the video file that I have on this software, and then I started editing. So is the video file that I have, does it have to be in any format?
Well, actually, what's nice about this program is when you bring it into DaVinci Resolve, it should change it to be the right format for you. But maybe Kaoru has a suggestion on the preferable format to actually record in.
Hi there. Yeah. Well, I would say just if you're recording on your phone, probably the highest setting for quality on the camera app on your phone would be preferable. And then, yeah, the step is the first you take that file from the phone and you import it onto your computer. You transfer the file onto your hard drive in the computer in an allocated folder. And then After that's done, then you import the file from the hard drive on the computer into the DaVinci Resolve editing software. Does that make sense?
Yeah, super.
Okay, good. Good.
Okay, great. All right, so we've looked at trimming in the cut window, so double clicking, and then using this to adjust the start and end points. And as we were discussing, it can be really helpful for
So we're not seeing your screen
preparing your
at the moment.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so you just have to share the screen. Sorry, yeah, we've been sharing everyone else's screen, so we want to get back to you.
Okay, is that better now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so just a quick look at this one again. So in the cut window, we double click, and then we can just use the little bracket to trim to the point we want. Okay. All right, let's go back to the edit screen now. And there's a couple of things I want to look at, which I think are really important and really actually great features in DaVinci Resolve. So for now, I've just brought in another clip, and I think this should work. Yeah. What I want to talk about is image stabilization. So if we look at this, actually, this one's not too bad. Actually, I need one where I wasn't such a good camera person. It's not my usual problem. Let's see if I have a bit more of a shaky video. What about this? Okay. Maybe this one's a bit more shaky. Okay, yeah, this is a better example because we can see the camera's just shaking a little bit when it moves. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use this video editing toolkit on the right here. It's super helpful. Everything's on the screen. Can everyone see that here? It's just to the right of the main window. It's under transform. Okay. So what we have here is we have all the like basic settings you're going to need to work with video. I'm just going to run through a few of them. So zoom.
Just to clarify, just to clarify, Ronan. So that all those attributes on the top right-hand corner that can be adjusted, when you click on the video clip in the timeline, the attributes are for that video clip that you just selected. Is that how it works?
Yes, correct. So you can see here I've clicked on this elementalism stock of the birds and it's red. And if I zoom now, it's going to zoom that. And if I click on the other one and zoom, it's not adjusting it because it's actually adjusting the one I've clicked on. So I can do it there. Okay. All right. So we have zoom. It's pretty straightforward. It allows you to see the clip closer. You'll see you have X and Y axis. So X and Y, like on a graph. And you can just move that left and right. So you can adjust where the focus of the frame is and up and down. And underneath that, we have rotation. So you can actually rotate the image. Let's say you wanted it upside down. The great thing about DaVinci is you can see this is all happening instantaneously for me. There's no rendering, there's no waiting. It's just happening. Okay. And let's go to the next one. We have the anchor point, and that is the anchor point of the rotation, I believe. So if you put it off to the side, it's going to rotate from the side a bit. I'm just going to reset these using the buttons here. Say reset, the undo ones. Okay. And then we've got flip and we've got pitch. So actually you can give it kind of a 3D aspect. And what's interesting about all of these is they can all be automated. So they can actually be, you could have it, for example, at the start of your video like this and gradually changing to that. So let's just reset that to the center. And then the
I bet
same
that
on the
flip-
sideways.
If I could just interrupt for a second there. That horizontal flip button, I think that will be very important for a lot of people, because if you're using a phone and you're filming it with the selfie camera on it, I'm sure you've all noticed that quite often the text is backwards when you film on the front-facing camera on your phone. So that would probably correct it, I would imagine.
Okay, great. And then you've also got crop. So you can crop the image left and right, top and bottom. Let's say you just wanted a square of it. I've made videos with multiple video clips on top, and this is how I've made them. You know, I've had parts which there's just been a line like this. It's super helpful to have this just all on the screen to start with. And then softness is like, let's say you crop the top and the bottom, but you don't want it to be like a hard edge like that. You want it to be like a little softer, a bit more opacity. So that would be helpful, let's say, if you were overlaying images. So for example, let's pop this on top of that one. You can see now we have like a nice fade rather than like a harsh line. Okay. Anyway, let's reset that back to how we had it. And once again, no rendering. It's just doing it all perfectly as we're working on the clip. And you can just play it back and it's there.
Ronan, do you have to save any edits that you made as you do them, or you can save at the end? Like, do you lose stuff?
I think it's a healthy practice to save the project when you've made significant changes. Like, let's say you've done some edits, just to get used to the idea of saving regularly. And you can also save a backup as well. So you can do save project as, and then you can create a backup of it, just in case you do anything wrong and you need to come back to it. So let's see what's happening here. Okay. All right. So yeah, you can see now I've got this overlay of the two clips, and I've just got this flower on top of it. But you can see all this, the edges are really nice and soft, eh? And you saw like how simple that was to do. It took like 10 seconds. Okay, let's have a look at some of the other ones. So I think for me, this one, the stabilization is of everything. It's going to be the most useful thing, especially if you're shooting handheld. Because like traditionally, if you're shooting video, high quality, you want it on a tripod and you want to make sure everything's super stable. But obviously if we're shooting with mobile phones and stuff, we don't have that. So let's just reset this so we don't have all the cropping and the softness. Okay, there we go. All right, so we can see in this clip, it's kind of moving, but it's not super smooth. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to double click on stabilization here. And I'm just going to click on stabilize. And so you can see down the bottom, it's just analyzing it. And it'll just take a second to do this because this is actually quite a complex process. What I would say is if the longer your clips are, the more difficult it's going to be, and the shorter, the easier. So let's just have a look at this clip now and see how it looks. And I think it should be a lot better. So from my perspective, that's actually a lot smoother, in my opinion. And it can be just really helpful with any clips you wanna just smooth off. The stabilization will work. And in actual fact, you have settings here. So let's say this is okay, but I feel like it could even be smoother. what you can actually do is you can adjust the smoothness up and the strength as well. So let's just see, let's try with a more smooth on it and see how that works. Yeah, so even better in my opinion, actually.
That's a wonderful tool. And I think it's really useful for cleaning up footage. I just thought it was a good segue to introduce you know, some other tools that you can use, even if you're using a smartphone, for quite inexpensive. You can get one of these. I don't know if anybody can see my screen. They're like a small tripod with a mobile phone clip on it. And for 25 bucks or something, if you want to continue making videos, these are amazing. They will, or you can just use, you know, basic selfie stick type thing. Some of them have the tripod base, and that'll solve your stability problem right there. And you'll get much cleaner audio. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, anything you can do. No, it's great. Anything you can do to get good quality footage is going to make all the post-production process a lot better. Like you don't want to have to do all this stuff, because you think about it, if you do it every time on every clip, it's just going to add to the workflow. If you've got something great to start with, then you don't have to mess with it. That's the aim, and that's how to get perfect videos. So I'm actually just going to pull this one up. I think this is a better example. So this is a bit of fire at a blacksmith's I filmed at a permaculture project here in Costa Rica. So if we look at this, you can see it's pretty good, but there's a bit of shake to it, right? And so what I would like to do is I would just like to smooth out that shake just a little bit. It's not bad, but it could just be perfect. And so I can go back again into stabilization. But this time I'm actually going to put camera lock on, because there's no panning, there's no movement in the clip. I just want it to be still. So now let's stabilize that with the camera lock on. And so it's analyzing it. And let's have a look at that now. Look at that, perfect, right? Zero shake. It's perfectly in frame. It looks great, honestly. So to be able to go from the shaky, like almost unusable clip to something that looks perfectly shot in 5 seconds is really, really pretty amazing. Okay. So I think you can see why I love this program so much. To be able to do that is like, if I was trying to do that 10 years ago, it would have been a whole different story. Okay, great. Let's have a look at a few of the other options here. So we have dynamic zoom, which is like, it adds, imagine if you were shooting with the camera and you just zoom in or pull out, it just adds that, it automates that to your clip. So let's have a look at that now. I think it's going to do a pull out. So look at this. So it's just subtly bringing the clip out just a little bit. But it can just add a little dynamics and movement to your work. And you can actually do it the other way around. So we're zooming into the fire now. And once again, requires no automation, no anything. You just simply click it on. All right, this you're probably not going to need to use, but let's show you anyway. We have composite, and this basically changes the quality of the image. So right now it's normal. We can put it on color burn. We can put it on color dodge, and you can see it's actually now the fire is kind of affecting the image underneath, or we could do it.
Wait, how did you do that? Can you go back? I just missed that.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Just on the right hand side here in the video editing options, we have composite. And you can change which way you want to composite the clips. And it's just basically changing the way the two clips interact. So now we can see the fire overlaid on top of the plant is giving this kind of I don't know, kind of psychedelic edge to it, I guess, for want of a better word.
We were talking, Uriel and I were talking, just for another example, of talking trees and how their face could be embedded in a tree by just superimposing images. And I think the other one we were talking about was Marika, right? Is you were talking about diapers, and we, you know, these are all jokingly, they're probably not what they're going to do. Is you were going to have is it called Who's Talking Diapers? And have your baby talking about diapers. And you could do that possibly, you know, having yourself talking superimposed on the baby, right? To some extent.
Yeah, you could overlay that. And then actually, if you think about it like this, you can combine this compositing with this softness option here. And then it's going to soften the image over the top. You see, we have the full image, but let's say we just wanted it over that section. You can see now there's just the fires over that part. So there's quite a few options with that and something to play with.
That's beautiful possibilities. Ronan, maybe I think a lot of people are new to the video editing interface in the timeline. I just thought it might be useful to describe a little bit about how the clips and the layers function for the video and the audio and the timeline. You know what I mean? How you see the top clip and in the timeline unless these composite settings are on?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I actually have three lines on my. Just trying to shrink that a bit. Why is it so wide? Okay, let's just put another one up.
And I was wondering about, I am absolutely new on this. I was wondering about how to insert, for instance, if I want to insert a slide with just text, and or to insert background audio to a video.
Okay, great. So those are some good questions, and I think I can show you that now. So what we'll do is we'll just have a little look. So I'm just going to get rid of that clip because I don't need it. Oh, whoops, didn't mean to get rid of all three. Just that one. Yeah, there we go. So let's look. We've got the video clip on the video 1. And I'm going to put another video clip behind it. So there we go, video 1 to video 2. And also you can just trim the clips in this as well, quite easily. Let's see. But let's say we wanted, instead of this bird clip, we wanted this one. And the video playback software is always going to play the clip that's nearest to the top. So 1 is underneath 2. So when this comes in here, it's going to play the clip on bar 2. And then at the end of this clip, you'll see it goes back to the birds because that's what's underneath it. Okay. And to answer your question about audio, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull in some audio. And by doing that, the same as before, I find the audio I want in the Finder or in File Manager on Windows. And I'm just going to drop it in there into the media bin. And so now I can take from the media bin and drop it down onto the timeline. And now we're going to have the audio underneath.
And I believe the way it works is with audio, it's additive. So all the layers of the audio get added together and play simultaneously. But with the video, you'll only be seeing the top clip on the layers. Is that right, Ronan?
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. It's always going to show the top layer unless you add opacity to the image, which you can do in the composite screen here. On the right, you can turn the opacity down, and then you can actually kind of have both at once. So yeah, you can see with the opacity on full, you're seeing the top image, and the opacity on 0, you're seeing the under image. let's just have a quick look at something else you can do is video transitions. This is the most commonly used transition in video, is just a cross dissolve. And so if we look at this now, that was maybe a little too fast. I'm going to just extend the cross dissolve, and now we should be able to see it. Okay. So you could see by adding the cross dissolve, it adds a fade from the first clip to the second clip. Now, Kaoru, you might have an opinion on this. I think when I first started doing video editing, I used cross dissolves on everything. And then when I started to look at professional video, I realized actually professionals don't really use cross dissolves very much. Would you agree, Kaoru?
Yeah, that's a funny question. Yeah, all those transitions are fun, but like when my video professor said once, you know, if you have good timing, you don't need transitions. You can just go from one clip to the next, and as long as it's timed well, then that's what will allow the project to look the most professional. So try not to rely too heavily on the transitions, because they could make your project look cheesy pretty quick. But cross dissolve is pretty much one of the only tasteful ones, and then dip to black, which is right below it, is the other one that's used on higher end projects.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and to answer the question that we just had come up here, which was, how do you apply transition on the video but not on the audio? So we can see here these two clips are connected. So when I play this back, I hear the audio that's on the flower video, which actually I've muted, but it's a chainsaw, basically. I don't know if you can hear it. I don't know if I'm sharing audio. Am I sharing audio or not? Maybe not. I'm just gonna stop share and share again. Let's have that with sound. Okay. So we can hear now. We should be able to hear. Oh wait. All right. So you can hear those kind of clips of maybe not. We don't want that on the video, right? Like nice pictures of birds and eagles and a chainsaw in the background. So in actual fact, what you can do is you can click on the clip and right click it. Oh wait. That's funny. It's funny, I don't know why it's not. Maybe this will do it. It's not showing me the full screen. Because when you right click on it, you should actually be able to go down and it should say unlink clips. Maybe there's another option. Clip. Yeah, here we go. Unlink. Where are you, unlink? Oh yeah, okay. So you can see up the top here, it says link clips under clips. And so I can click on that. Right now there's a tick which shows it's enabled, so they're linked. Now they are unlinked. So I can move that individually, separate from the clip. And in actual fact, I don't want that because I don't want the chainsaw sound, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. And then I have my track, which I've dragged in. And so now when I listen to it, it should just be the video and the soundtrack I've chosen to put on. Okay. And down here you've got mute tracks. So if you didn't want to delete it, like you don't want to get rid of it permanently, you can just mute the track. So let's say I didn't want to listen to the music. I can just mute it and unmute it. It's very helpful if you've got a ton of clips on your page and you don't want to have to go through individually delete everything, you can just mute them. And more than likely, you might just want a soundtrack clip, and you might just want, like, let's say you've got an interview, you might just want that, and any other clips you're using, you're not gonna want the audio on.
I could just add a little note on that. Oh, sorry, Ronan. Yeah, so that's a very core function, is the link and unlink the audio and from the video. You're going to find yourself working with that a lot. Quite often you shoot something with just the audio in mind and the video is garbage. Sometimes the opposite, you're just focused on the image and you can unlink and get rid of the audio. But something to be mindful of is many clips, especially interviews or speaking clips, it's very critical that the audio and the image are linked and synchronized properly in time, so you don't get the mouth moving at the audio separated. So be mindful when you unlink your audio from your image on a speaking clip, make sure that you move them together, or be mindful if you offset the timing, because that can quickly degenerate into a complex problem. So, just be conscious of it.
Yeah, it's very true. It's really important to keep everything synced up. And so that's why it is, as default, everything is linked, and you actually have to specifically choose to unlink them. One thing I wanted to show you here, actually, if you can see this on the edge, on the top right of the clip here, is actually like a little button, and you can press that and you can use it to fade in and fade out the clip. So let's say I had a clip underneath and I just faded that in. I can watch as it fades out into the other clip. Which is an alternative strategy from using crossfade, cross dissolves and things. It gives you a little bit more control, and you can do the same thing with audio, actually. Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any questions about this section of the edit window? Maybe there's a few things that you'd like to know in a bit more detail. Oh, I'll tell you what. One person asked me about text, right? So let's have a look at text. We have titles on the left here. We've got a few different things. We've got the video transitions, audio transitions, so crossfade, titles, generator, if you just wanted to put a solid color in, or textures, and then other effects. But for now, let's look at titles. So we could have a scroll title. And what's nice about it is actually just when you drag your mouse over it, it'll show you the preview of how it looks. We can have middle right, middle lower third. These are just presets that you can use that come in DaVinci Resolve. But the scroll might be good. Like let's just throw this on here for now. And we'll put something in the text. And so we can see I've put the scrolling text over the flowers. And up here on the right, we have the text. So flowers. This is Bob in Sana is the name of the flower. So now we can see, if I play, we have Bob and Sana scrolling across the image of the flower.
And
it's just stuttering a little bit.
There's sort of conventions for which title you would be using at which part. So typically for an interview, you would use the lower third or the right, one of the lower third titles, left, middle, or right, depending on the layout, to show the subject's name and designation, profession, or community. The scrolling credit is typically used at the end of the video to show all of the makers' names and credit them. And, I believe text there, just a basic text title is typically the opening title of your movie. So those are just like the nuts and bolts typical ones and their usages.
Okay, cool. And then you have more kind of fancy ones if you feel like you need those things. You know, I think it comes back to the same kind of concept with the fades and the dissolves and stuff. I think from my experience, it can be nice to keep things simple unless you're going for a specific effect. But there's plenty to play with. Like that one's quite cool. On a video I made, I used like a I can't remember what it was. It was like a drop-in text for a more like artistic thing. But there's like plenty to play around with, you know. And I would kind
sorry.
of for
This is text that goes like over the video, right? Like a title. What happens if I want to put a slide with just text in the middle of the video? How do I manage to say, okay, I want to give this slide 10 seconds of screen so people have enough time to read it and I don't want any image in the background? Have I to upload as a insert as a video, or can I use this tool?
You can just use these and you simply don't put a video underneath.
Oh,
so
great.
It's just going to have the blank screen behind it. Yeah, it's really simple. Yeah. I'm just going to close my DaVinci a second. It's just having I'm having some sort of issue with it. I wonder if it's because I'm sharing with Zoom as well.
And do you guys want to take a 5-minute break, 10-minute break? I'm sure this might be a good time. I know you've been talking for a while. You might want to get some water, or how do people feel? Ronan, are you good, or you'd like a break? Okay. At least Kaoru says he needs some water. Are you okay, Ronan, for a 10-minute break?
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you in 10 minutes. So at 2:40, okay? Hi, Uriel. How's it going?
Actually, I am exhausted, but it was a good meeting this morning. I'm happy.
Oh, good. I think you should do that for your video. I think that's worth it. And it'll focus you don't want to be doing too many things, especially at the end of term.
Well, we got the interview of this morning recorded.
Okay.
We asked them, and they are gonna send us the recording. So the meeting with this morning was with my partner, my Mapuche partner, and this person that works at it's like a vice dean office. It's the office of the University of Santiago that connects with the community. I don't know what would be the proper translation. And a guy that is, I think he's a biologist. So he's interested in using, they have a very strong tradition in Chile about indigenous medicine and pharmacy. So they were able to preserve all of this. So now they have some, legally you can prescribe herbs and etc. And it's okay as a traditional medicine. So we had the meeting with these people. We told them about the forum and they want to sponsor. And there was a part of the conversation. And before we had an organization meeting with my partner, I was telling him, look, we should talk about this thing that is pretty new in Canada about seeing with both eyes and the connection of traditional knowledge and science and how the university works. And then she says, well, yes, because we are in this department of relationship with the community and we are supposed to have indigenous students, but we are not like doing great. And they have a very high percentage of indigenous people in Chile. It's like 15% more or less.
That's high, yeah.
Or I don't know if exactly.
Compared to, you know, it's not high compared to New Zealand, but high compared to Canada for sure. Like that's a very visible.
They have like 20 million people or between 18 or 22 million people, but indigenous people is 1 million and something. So, okay, maybe not 15%, but it's one in 20 would be 5%.
5%. That's about in Canada. Like in Manitoba, we're around, I think, 14%. I should know that number off the top of my head. But for Canada, it's about 5%.
But they have a very strong presence in the capital city. And I was telling about Minobi, Madis Queen, and what you do. I said, look, you know, the indigenous people everywhere, they have problem to access the money for projects because all the paperwork is impossible. Indigenous community cannot do it, but the university can be the bridge and to do the connection.
That's great. Oh my goodness. And you know, if you could do that meeting, but then, you know, as a webinar, just to clear ethics, I have submitted to ethics, but they haven't gotten back to me. And then we could just cut and paste it and you could do a translation, right? That works for both, you know, it'll be in English and then in Spanish and then subtitles in English. And we can publish it and get it out more widely to create a discussion.
Well, I went long term and I said, like, in terms of relationships between projects, I said that if we as the forum co-organize together with them, the university, we could have the NRI talking about the experience on how to get the university into the communities. Because it's difficult to get indigenous people into the university. Like
that would be great.
Beyond the course.
Yeah. And we can have exchanges too, right? Like, you know, there's tricks. Honestly, I do worry about even some that we have in, like, there are certain models that work well, like ethnography is just autoethnography, is people telling their own stories, right? Which not everyone, like I'm probably the only one who does it at NRI, but it works really, really well with the Indigenous students.
And there are different things. Like one thing that I was telling them, I told you the other day and they were laughing, it's like, you know, if I come here and I am from Latin America and you are Latin America and I am tell you A, they say, but if I bring someone from North America to tell you A, they will say, oh my God, This is a revelation. So we have to take advantage of that. And end of the meeting tomorrow, we are meeting with the people of the, it's like the Ministry of SMEs, but the indigenous section. So, and my partner asked her, so tomorrow when we meet with these people of the government, we can say that we are partnering with the university? Yeah, of course, we are already working together.
Definitely, we're partnering. Okay, we'll talk more, but definitely do that and record, and then we'll work with it, whatever you get. But you just have to make sure everyone knows you're recording, right? And that it's public. Okay, great. Thanks for coming back, everybody. And this is so great. Thank you, Ronan. This is, I think people are really, you know, delighted. I'm delighted at how easy this is. Like even compared to Final Cut Pro, even compared, you know, I like this more than iMovie even. That's easy, but this is more powerful for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the ease of doing things like what we did with this video of the fire here. It's quite amazing to be able to do that in such a short amount of time, just to stabilize things and add text and all that. I really love the program. It just works really well, and I don't know. It's amazing that it's free, honestly. I was saying that I kind of want to get... I kind of want to buy the full version before they realize that they should be selling it for $5,000. So we'll see.
Yes. So everybody download it.
Screen again.
So, no, we can't. Yes, go ahead and share it. We can't see it right now.
Yeah, it's because the screen sharing is disabled right now. So if you could enable it, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, the software, I think a lot of major Hollywood productions use this same software to create those big Hollywood feature-length films.
That's definitely correct. And I don't know if anyone's seen the new Star Trek series, Discovery, I think it's called. That was all edited on this. I can tell because I can see the camera stabilization is the same as on here. So, you know, if it's good enough for that, it's definitely good enough for us. Okay, so let's see if I can share the screen. Yep. Okay, cool. So just after having a break, I think there was a couple of things I wanted to just maybe go over a little bit. We could go a little bit more into depth with the text, I think is helpful. And I also wanted to look at the color correction page. And if anyone has some questions as well, it'd be great to address anyone's questions. So let's just look at this text again for a second. So let's just pull in a basic title, okay? And let's somewhere where there isn't actually anything else that we can see it. So let's get rid of that. Oh, I made an error there. I pressed delete, which actually compressed everything that was there. It got rid of everything. So I don't want to do that. I want to press backspace, which will just get rid of that section rather than everything in that area.
Yeah, I was going to add.
Okay, so we've got the basic.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Basic title. And so we can just put example here. And then we can see we've got underneath it, we've got all the different fonts. So this one looks nice. And we've also got the option of sizing it. And I think tracking is how close the letters are together. So all the text is adjustable. And the line spacing is like, I would need to put a few more. So you can see the line spacing just pulled it out again as well. And you have the option of doing it left and right and so on. And you can also rotate it. And one thing to all of this is all of these things are automatable. So, for example, if I wanted to rotate the text, which is not necessarily something I recommend for style, but for the illustration of this, I could put a keyframe here. One keyframe. You see, I just hit this red diamond. Now if I move on and I put another keyframe here, then I adjust the zoom. Let's zoom it in more. Theoretically now, this text should zoom in. Okay. You can do that with any setting in the whole software. So to show you that again, you would choose where you want the first frame. So we can see here the first frame. I clicked on it, I put it to red. Then we can go to the last frame. So I could zoom it in even more. And let's say we want to rotate it as well. So I'm going to put a keyframe here. And now I'm going to go to the end. And I'm going to put another keyframe here. And I'm going to put the rotation all the way around. So now when we watch it, we have a zoom and we have a rotation. And once again, this is possible with anything at all in the whole program. You just simply click the little diamond next to it and it creates a keyframe. And then you create another diamond at the end. And then you can just change whatever you want with it. So that's called keyframes, and something to look at in more detail if you want. But anyway, so there we go. There's our text overlay. And we can stick that over our flowers now if we want. Okay, cool. All right, does anyone have any questions about that at all?
I can't find where this toolbox is at all, like to add text.
Ah, okay.
How do you access that?
Maybe could you share your screen?
Sure. Host disabled participant screen sharing. So I have to get allowed to share. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now you
Shirley
should,
could
yeah.
add you. And then the other thing I would ask is, which version of DaVinci are you using? Are you using a new version?
Yeah, it's the latest version. This is, do you see my screen?
Okay, it's because, yeah. Okay, so if you
I'm
look
under
up
edit.
the top right,
Okay.
if you move your mouse to the top right, you see where it says Inspector?
Yeah.
If you click on that, and then
Okay.
Well, that's not good.
underneath there on the left, there's one that says video, but you actually need to click on the clip
Okay, so let's click on.
in the timeline.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
So inspector,
Mhm.
video, audio effects, transition, image. So how do I get that left panel that you had here with the toolbox?
I think if you go up, might just be set up slightly different on yours, but I think you can do it under workspace, which is up the top middle. If you just look above the left flag here, yeah, you see where it says workspace?
Okay.
And then you should have the options of which things you're going to have on your workspace page.
I see.
So
that one is called
Yeah.
Show page. No. Show panel. Okay.
And I
Effects library, right?
yeah, so if you click on that now, it should,
Okay.
yeah, there you go.
All right. So that's a little different, but great. That helps. Okay, so it was just hidden.
In that workspace, there's some different presets. Yeah, it's just hidden, but it's, and you can save that preset if you want as under the workspace so that it comes up next time.
Okay. Workspace, is there like a save preset or something like that? It's not a big deal if you can't find it.
Or actually, it might just default to that now that you've set it
Okay.
up that way with the program, I think.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, that answers
cool.
my question. Thanks so
Great.
much.
All right, thanks.
I'll stop the share now.
We resolved that.
Can I show my
And
screen?
I'm gonna-
I don't find. I cannot find.
Sure, yeah. Mhm.
Can you see my screen?
Mhm.
Yeah, where I cannot find the text. You did that.
Okay, so right now you're still in the trim screen. If you go down to the bottom of your screen, there's an edit.
Yeah, this
There's an
one.
edit screen. You see
Okay.
it says cut, and then if you go one to the right to edit, you should be on the right screen then.
Right side. This one.
So it's hard to see your screen right now. I don't know. Maybe if you could try sharing screen again and just select DaVinci Resolve.
Okay. Yeah, can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
that
Cool.
looks good.
Yeah. So that looks right. Was there something else?
Yeah, just you
Um,
edit, you add text. What I can.
Okay. Yeah. So the same thing as we did with the last participant. If you go up to the top where it says workspace, top in the middle, above where it says practice copy.
Yeah, workplace. Yeah.
And then was in where was it, Panos? Effects, yeah, in that section there.
So
Active panel selection and then effects. Yeah.
Yeah,
There we
that's
go.
the one.
okay, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, thank
And
you.
now you can see you've got titles, the third one down there.
Yeah, I got
So
it.
you drag that over, I guess, to the timeline, and then you edit it, or
Yeah,
how do you
correct. Yeah.
how do you actually edit the text? Oh, it says up
why
here,
don't
basic
you
title.
do this for us?
Okay, I found it. It's in the top
Want
right.
to show us
Yeah.
for us? That might be good. Do you want to demonstrate?
Yeah,
or...
sure. So let's look again. So I'm bringing the text over. Oh, wait, can you see my screen? No, right?
No, not yet.
No.
Now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm just going to bring the text over, basic title, pop it on my timeline. And then like so much, you just click on it, and then you've got the editing options up here in the same section as before. So this is Ronan typing. Okay. So we can see this is affecting the text, and then we can change the font. Don't use Comic Sans. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Did that clear it up for you?
Yeah, it was great for me.
Bueno. Okay. Great.
Thanks.
All right. And what about you? I'm sorry, I just have AK Azad as your name.
Yeah.
Is everything clear for you? Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not able to add text on the picture. Yeah.
Okay. So if you click on the text here,
Yeah.
and then just drag it onto the timeline above the image you're working on.
Yeah.
So
Oh yes.
maybe
I
if
got
you
it.
share the yeah. Okay. Cool. Perfect. Awesome.
Now, Marika,
All right, great.
Ajarat, is there anybody else who hasn't shared their screen that would like to? Is everyone following okay?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to share your screen with anything?
I've
No?
been able, yeah, I can share it just to see what I
Okay,
have in there.
sure.
It says I'm currently disabled.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, that's me. That's my bad. I will get you co-hosting.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, yep, looks great.
Yeah, so I've been able to figure out the texting by clicking on this, and then this.
Okay, cool. I think one thing that might be helpful for you is if you click on the clip on the timeline.
Okay.
So in the center of the screen, yeah. And now if you click up the top right where it says inspector. And now you get to see all those different options that we were talking about.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll stop
Great.
share
Yeah, looks
now.
good. So for
Okay, sorry.
yeah, so for example, with this clip, is you could actually, you see where it says zoom, go up to the top where it says zoom, just under transform.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And now click on that and pull it up, pull it to the right, in fact.
I should pull the figure, or?
Yeah, the mouse, yeah. So did you see it change there? Oh, you can just, yeah, there you go, perfect.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So if you
then I
click on
see the other
number,
functions. Sorry?
So yeah, if you click back on transform, and just to the right of zoom where the number is 097. Yeah. And yeah, did you see how it zoomed in there for you? So if you click on that
neat.
and pull it to the right again, you can zoom in.
Oh, so it zooms in just by pulling the number like that. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you can type a number. You could type 2 there and it's going to work as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, the reason I'm showing you this is because you've got that long clip. And because it was vertical, you couldn't really use it. But if you zoom it in, actually, now it's possible to use that clip.
Oh, okay.
It's better to shoot the other way, but like, let's say you filmed something really important and needed to use it, then this is how you would get around it.
Oh, okay.
But obviously, you're going to chop the top and bottom off.
Okay. Yeah, this is a practice video. Yeah.
And Marika, is there anything you want to share, or do you want to share your screen? No? Okay. Just checking. And everybody else is good?
I have a question. Just, is there a backspace? Is there like an undo button? Because like I'm wanting to just go back in time, but I don't know if there's a button for that.
So on PC, and I don't know if you're on PC or Mac.
Mac.
But on PC, it's Control Z. I think, what is it? Command Z on Mac. Is that right?
It's the little clover leaf and Z, I believe.
Oh yeah,
command. Yeah, command. Yeah.
And that actually should work on any software. It's the preset undo command on all software. And if you can't remember that, you can also just click edit and undo. So up the top, edit, undo. Okay, I think I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that.
Yep.
Back looking at the fire. All right, so there was a couple more things I wanted to cover. And actually, Shelley, if you could tell me what sort of time frame do we have left of the class, so I know what I should focus on?
So we have, we could have an hour left, half an hour, whatever works for you. So,
okay.
Yeah. So half, as long as, probably maximum an hour, but I'm sure, I think we're kind of, I bet there'll be lots of questions. And so anytime you want to finish up is good.
Okay, so maybe we'll do about another 30 minutes of showing more details, and then we can have a bit of a sharing session. We can have a question session and feedback session after that.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so one thing I wanted to just look at briefly was changing the clip speed. So you can actually either right click or click on clip. So right click and change clip speed. I'm going to see if I can find a better clip for an example. Yeah, it's going to look better with the birds because it's going to be a bit more obvious. So this is the birds at their normal speed. And now let's slow them down, change clip speed, and change it to 200%. Actually, that's going to speed it up, but let's see. Yeah, you can see it's much faster. And let's even up the speed again, change clip speed. Let's do it to 400% and see what that looks like. Change.
And this is the speed change. I'm glad you're showing that, Ronan. You can do a time lapse with this technique. Like say you set your camera up in a stationary position and filmed something like building a teepee or something over an hour maybe, and then you could just speed it up to a very high percentage and you could get a time lapse effect. Alternatively, if you slow it down, you can create dramatic effects. It adds a bit more drama to your film. Or if your shot is shaky and you're struggling with stability, slowing it down will also assist with that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's a really good example. I, for example, shot a sunset coming in and I just sped up the whole clip, and it was just a really nice piece from what was a 30-minute long session into just like a very short thing, and you could just see it like time lapse. And so here you can see I've slowed the birds down. One thing you're going to notice is depending on the frame rate you shot in, it may lose some quality. So for example, people I know who shoot deliberately to make slow motion, they'll actually shoot in 60 frames per second and then convert it into 30 frames per second, which is actually something I did. I shot a whole music video in 60 frames and then I slowed it down to 30. So I maintained the fidelity and the quality without getting the jutter, but I managed to keep things looking slow-mo.
That's a really good point.
So
Typically, the rule of thumb I use is if you're just shooting normal footage and you're not using a special setting or a special camera, just 50% is the most I would slow something down before you're going to start getting a degradation of quality.
Yeah, exactly. So we can see in this bird clip we're looking at, this is down to 25%. And you can see it doesn't really look great visually, but maybe I can change it to 50 and we see, yeah, it's a lot better. It's kind of possible. Yeah. And let's just have a look at this waterfall clip. I'm going to speed up here. So change clip speed, 200%.
Does changing the speed affect the length of the clip, or wouldn't it shrink it if it's faster?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it will do. Yeah, it'll cut the length of.
So if you have audio,
for example, if you did it 50%,
you don't want to have audio with synced into the slow video and then speed up the video. Like the audio won't. Everything will be off then, basically.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you require synchronization in your audio and video, probably a timing change isn't really suitable for that clip. But if you speed up the audio, you'll get the chipmunk voice effect, right? Or you can unlink the clips if it's not critical, and then you would just do the speed change on the video component of the clip.
And for example, I looked at some music videos which were pretty cool, and what they did is they shot it at 60 frames per second with the performer, I think it was a rapper in this case or a singer, singing along to the track twice the speed it should be. So they put an audio track of twice the speed, shot it at double the frames, and then slowed everything down and put the original soundtrack on. And you get this kind of like slow motion, but in time with the music. So it is possible to do it from an artistic point of view if it's an interesting concept, but it's a specific process. But those videos are quite cool, actually. You can look them up. Yeah, I think there was like a J-pop video I saw that had used this technique that I found quite interesting. I kind of thought about it. All right, cool. So I think that's clear on speed. Does anyone else have any questions about the speed process there or how to do it?
I just always wondered how they did. I always wondered how they
Right.
do those like slow motion ones, but it's neat.
Yeah, I think shooting in 60 frames and bringing it down to 30 frames, because we can see here, if I take a little bit more time with this, change clip speed, see it's on 100% and it says 30 frames per second. And it also says the duration. Oh, this is also the place you would put it backwards. Like if you wanted to do a reverse clip. I don't know if I have one that's going to significantly illustrate. But yeah, let's say you wanted somebody walking backwards. You would also click on speed. And then you just do reverse speed. And you can see here it's minus 100. And then it's minus 30 frames a second. Okay.
Something of note is a lot of your cell phones in the app, they'll have a super slow-mo or slow-mo function. And normally it'll just let you make a sort of a short clip in slow motion where the phone records it into the RAM or something like that. And then I believe on the phone, it'll just kind of create a typical 30 frames per second video at the end of it, but it'll be in slow motion. So if you have a specific effect you want to do, a dramatic scene, like maybe, you know, someone jumping over something, you could actually shoot it in slow-mo. And then when you bring it in, it'll look the best.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, all right, thanks. So let's now have a quick look at the color correction. So this clip actually of fire I quite like. And we've already stabilized it. We've already zoomed it in a bit. So let's just look at how we would then even go further into improving it. So let's see if I can reset this. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, so down the bottom to get here, I've gone into the color screen. And so now we can see we've got all these different settings for the colors. So let's have a quick look. Here we have color wheels, we have color bars, and we have log wheels. And I think in video, log is the sort of starting point for editing
It's not adding.
video.
What is it doing? So go into the spin. Why doesn't it do it?
So have
What
you
is
clicked
going
on the
on?
clip that you want to work with, first of all? So have the timeline bar over the clip you want to work on and click on it also. Because if you go in here, for example, where there's nothing, it's not going to show you on here the clip you're looking at. So you need to make sure you're over the clip you want to edit. Okay.
And I also
So-
noticed there's a sort of a row of clips there in the center of the screen. I suppose that you've got to highlight each one you're working with. Is that
Yeah,
right?
you can just click on it to adjust that. So let's say I've got this one and I want to adjust the contrast. We can just there. And yeah, you've basically got like the 3 windows here. Color wheels, log wheels. So I think we'll start with the log wheels. So when you shoot, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kaoru, but I think when you shoot like raw footage and it's uncolor corrected, it's called log footage. And so this is kind of where you start from. So we can see here with the fire.
Why can't I drag this?
Do you want to share your screen, Panos, and we can have a look and see what's happening, mate, and see if we can
My
find
bad.
a solution. I think we got you muted now, mate. You're muted.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Yeah, I was just getting frustrated because I couldn't drag something in anymore. I'll show you what I mean.
Okay.
Like I have this clip here. Yo, do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so like I'm trying to drag this here. It just doesn't show up. See, it should. Like this picture of me shows up, I think.
Did you see just then it was going to drop that on, right?
Yeah,
so
this one drops.
On. Okay, try the next one.
This is a movie file.
Hmm.
It's like it doesn't want to go. I had it there and I deleted it and I can't put it back. So it's just like, what is going on?
Okay, I'm not 100% sure, but in situations like this, I would probably just try and re-import the original file in case it's got disconnected somewhere, like if it was on your phone and your phone's unplugged or something like that, or if it's moved.
Yeah, I can try dragging.
May just not be. Yeah.
All right.
Try dragging the file in again.
Do I have the original file?
And so I think it should be in the folder on the bottom left there, maybe, of your start bar, I think, possibly.
I don't even know where I put my file.
And okay, I think in this example, what you can do is you can actually click down the bottom where the media screen is. You know, you're on the edit screen now. So if you go to the media screen. Yeah. And now you can kind of try and find it in there. Or, hey, okay, here's an idea. Right click on the USA.mp4.
Okay.
And it should show reveal in media storage down the bottom there, or open file location. Even better. Open file location.
Okay, have it in here. That makes sense. So if I drag it back, copy. Okay, so it makes a copy. Oh, is that right?
Okay. And now try again on the edit window.
Is this the same one? They're both the same name.
So if you go into the edit screen, I think maybe
this one. Sorry, my bad. I always mix those two up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still something wonky going. I don't want to take the rest of the class up, but yeah, it could be. I hope it's not something to do with my computer running out of RAM.
You know something.
Okay, so what I would say.
Oh, go ahead, Ronan. Sorry about that.
Sorry, I'll suggest one thing, and then Kaoru, if you can add afterwards. What I would do personally at this point is just edit undo a bunch of times until you got back to where you were before the problem was.
Okay.
So holding Control Z Control Z, and it should just, you should go back to the point where it's on the timeline, right? So if you
Yeah.
press space now, I think that's working, right?
Initially, everything was there, but then it's like, if I want to drag it again, oh, now it works. That's so weird. It's like, what did I click that stopped it from being able to drag over? See, I can drag as many as I want now.
Yeah, so that's where undo
Some
can be
weird
really
stuff.
helpful. And what I
Okay.
would suggest is actually, if you save the project now,
Okay.
you just save your project, and then you know whatever happens, you're at a point where it's all functioning
Okay. I
correctly.
thought my whole thing just broke or something. Now I don't know what I clicked,
So
but at least I fixed it. So it's, I guess,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, I don't know what you clicked either, but that's the magic of undo. So,
Okay.
Kaoru, what were you going to say?
Thanks, by the way.
Oh, I just
Yeah,
thought that there might have been a compatibility issue with the clip, and I was going to suggest looking at the clip settings, but obviously that wasn't necessary. Undo is all it took.
I don't even know what I clicked because I've just been
The
following.
magic
So
undo.
yeah, just undo fixed it. So
Yeah,
thanks again.
the magic of undo. It saved me quite often. One thing to bear in mind is undo will only take you as far as the previous save. And this is why it can be beneficial to create backup versions of a big project. So like, let's say you're halfway through a project, you just save it as Panos backup 1. And then, you know, whatever happens, you've always got that file to reference to, and you can continue working on the new one.
Yeah, because if I saved, let's say accidentally, not knowing that, then I'd be screwed. I wouldn't even know how to fix that. I would be
Exactly.
pretty
So,
much
yeah.
guessing or working all night trying to figure out what did I click here to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
So just, I guess, don't click around
Well, I don't know what you clicked. All right,
Also, always
cool.
keep at least
let's-
2 backups,
Yeah, exactly.
2 versions.
I mean, across the board, anything digital, it's always worth having backups.
What I do is I do incremental saving of versions. So, you know, every day I do a good day of work, it'll be, you know, Panos 2, then the next day Panos 3, next day Panos 4. And then if I ever have any issues with corrupt files or something like that, then, because I've run into the problem where the project file itself will become corrupt for some mysterious reason. So at least you have multiple project files to have in the database there.
And if you're anything like me, what you'll end up with is Ronan final version 5. Where it's like, this is the final version. Oh, I just changed that. Oh, now it's the final version. Anyway.
Yeah, I would hate to like
okay,
build
so
a whole
looking...
project and then just get stuck like that and then having to restart it, or I don't even know what would happen. So yeah, backups are the way to go.
And there's always a solution, you know, there's always some way of solving every single problem. So I wouldn't worry about getting cornered or anything like that.
Okay.
And
I couldn't figure out for like 10 minutes.
So. I highly recommend that if you're working on a serious project for someone, you make a backup of everything, like a backup of all the files, of all the videos, everything I have it on my computer, and I also have it on my external hard drive here, just in case, because I did do a project many years ago that I didn't back up, and it was all finished, and I spent a month working on it, and it was due in a week, and the Mac I was working on died, and I had to redo the whole project. So do backup.
That, you know, while we're on the topic of backups, it's so critical. Like, you know, everybody just has to have one incredibly painful loss, and then they become the most diligent backer upper you could imagine. Like I have all of my master files on one hard drive, and then I have a duplicate hard drive of the same size, say a 5 terabyte hard drive is the master, 5 terabyte hard drive as the backup, and then ideally, regularly you mirror the hard drives and then store it at a separate location in case you've got theft or fire or unforeseen damages. And then the other philosophy with hard drives, it's not if they're going to break, it's when. So I know you're all probably dealing with very valuable data in your research. So know that it's going to break, and it's just a matter of creating a safe system so you can manage those losses.
Ron, just I have a question. After changing color and color combination, do I need to save it or it automatically save in the file?
It's good practice to always save your file after you make significant changes. I don't know that DaVinci does automatic saving actually. So you should always be saving.
So just we can Control S, it will save the file, or we need to save
Correct,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Control S will work. And what's nice on DaVinci is actually you can see, if you look on my screen, it's sharing, right? You can actually see next to many of the text is the keyboard shortcut. So you can see Save Project has Control S, Save Project as Control Shift S. And like, for example, Edit, Undo, Edit, Redo, Control Shift Z. So if you're ever in any doubt about any of the shortcuts, you can just look them up. But yeah, you're quite right. It is Control S. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's have a quick look at the color correction then, which, like I mentioned, was one of DaVinci's premier features, which is why people have been using it for many years for professional movie and television work. So we're in log wheels, and then we've got, I don't know if anyone's done any editing of photos, but here we have shadow, midtone, highlights, and offsets. So shadows is going to affect the darkest areas of the image. So if we watch this, I'm just going to pull up the shadows. You see all the black now is much lighter, or vice versa. I can bring it very dark, the shadows. So for the sake of this, I'm just going to take them down a little bit. I think it looks nice. And then the midtone is probably going to be more around where the flames are. So if I turn that up, oh, actually it's the background there. You can see the midtones. Yeah, that makes sense because the highlights are going to be the flame. So the midtones in the background there, you can turn them up and down. And you can also change the color of them, look. It's subtle, but you can see they're changing just a little bit. It's a little bluer. It's a little redder here. It's a good idea to try this yourself on your software so you can see the intricacies of it. So let's say I whack it all the way up to blue, and then I'm going to just turn that up, and it's very white now. Okay. And let's show that highlights might be a bit more prominent. So the highlights, there we can see the flames really coming to life by introducing more light, or darken it down so it almost turns to gray. But yeah, it's really nice to have the control over the individual aspects of the image rather than just having to affect the whole image with your choices. And so cont counts as contrast. So for this, probably it's reasonably well shot, so it doesn't need too much adjustment actually. And then we have saturation, which increases the quantity of color. So we see there's a lot more color when I turn up the saturation. If I turn it down, it's black and white. So you can actually make your clip black and white by removing the saturation. And so for the sake of this, I'm probably going to want it about halfway roughly. So let's say 50.
If I could interrupt. I'll just interrupt for a moment, maybe. So basically, the typical productions, Hollywood production or TV production, use a system of color management that's relatively consistent. They'll make the shadows kind of a teal blue color, and they'll pump the highlights to an orange, and to create a bit of a balance. And you know, that's what's on 80% of the movies you see. That's how they color correct, that simple method.
Okay, well, I didn't know that, so that's interesting. So if I was to do something similar to that, teal is sort of turquoise almost, is it? Or is it slightly greener?
Yeah, just like that. Yeah.
So I may be overdoing it a little bit, but just as an illustration.
Yeah, but that's
can
the idea.
see
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then in the center here, we actually have something called curves, which is a similar process, but it's just a different way to approach it. At the top right of this bar, it's going to affect the highlights. So you see the highlights being adjusted there as I move this up and down. And at the bottom end, it's going to affect the shadows. So you can see I'm just affecting the shadows there. I can introduce more light. And it's it's basically the same as this, but it's just a different technique for doing it. And I know a lot of people prefer this technique. For me, I kind of like the individual corrections, but this is also an option. And yeah, here as well, you have the option to change the colors and so on. One thing I think I would like to show is blur. So we can see we've got curves here. Next is a color warper, which I've never used. This is a dropper, so you can choose something and adjust around that. This you can put an overlay, so it only affects where you're overlaying, I believe. I've also not done that, so I've never had call to do that. But this one is really helpful. It's sharpening, and this can be really useful. You see how, hopefully you can see it on your screen. Right there, that's with the full sharpening, and this is with the sharpening off. So you see it's really super blurry. And then if I resharpen everything, we can see here it's much, much, much sharper. And so you can use that. For example, one thing I use it for is if I'm shooting in low light and there's a lot of distortion and pixelation because the quality isn't good enough, you can just blur the image a little bit and it's just going to make it a bit easier on the eye. Where else might you need some blurring, Kaoru? What do you think?
Mute. Yeah, that's a great usage, like you said before, to restore some kind of lower quality footage, whether the lighting's not good or maybe the camera wasn't the best, or to create maybe a dreamy space, like if it was you know, the scene was intended to be someone's idea in their mind, or an internal kind of world or a dream or something like that, kind of create a bit of a dreamscape with the blur.
May I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if reasonable, but how about we have some footage in the street and then we are editing and we realize that, oh, we love the footage, but we capture the face of someone and we didn't ask for permission. Can we blur that? Is something difficult? It's better to go and have another shooting?
Well, I think cropping it out would be my first approach. If it's near the edge of the frame, it might be the most tasteful to just simply crop it out. If it's really right in the middle of a scene, you know, it's gonna look like a cop TV show if you blur their face out, right? So you have to sort of reconcile the aesthetic. You know, if you do something like try and darken certain parts of the image, that might be a little bit less overt for the stylization. But I think, I haven't played with this tool, but I think you would use that window function in combination with some kind of selective color correction to target some specific part of the image. Ronan, you probably know a bit more about that than I do.
I actually have never done this, but just since we're on the conversation, I think the main thing is, this is why it's really helpful to make sure you set up and get the right shots, that you don't have to spend so much time afterwards. But to address this, so look, I've pulled up this circle tool in the middle, and we can see when I move it over the clip, it's just affecting that part. So let's say, let's try this and see. Let's say I want to do that and I just want to blur that. Does that work? Yeah, you can see there, it's just affecting that. So I'm putting a blur on the fire there. So it's a pinpointed blur. So actually, for what you're asking, I think that would work, in fact.
That's wonderful. I don't expect to use it, but just in case. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I've learned something new as well in this class. So there we go. And also, you know, you can also use this, like, let's say you wanted a lot of detail in the fire. You can kind of really introduce the opposite of the blur, the sharpening. And then I could even blur around the rest of the image. If I can turn this off. So if I was to blur the rest of the image a lot, and then on the circle part, just to really sharpen that. And then we can kind of see now we have, this is sharper and the background's a little bit blurrier. But yeah, I've never really experimented with that, but I think we can see there is possibility to use that in different ways. You guys maybe are not going to want to, you're going to want to maybe focus more on just delivering the content and things. But here's the thing with DaVinci, there's so much you can do. And it's a little bit about discernment of what do I need to know now? What do I need to dive into now? I just think color correction can be a bit helpful at times. Certainly if you shoot something, typically when you shoot video, it's not as vibrant on the clip as it really is in real life. So you can add a bit of saturation in just to bring some color up. Okay, yeah. Let's look at this clip, for example. You see this waterfall here. So it's nice, but you can see how it just looks a little bit gray. It looks a bit washed out, right? So what can I do with this clip? Just simply to bring a bit more life to it, I can bring the saturation up. So already you can see we've gone from that gray washed out to something that looks a bit more alive already. Let's compare these. You see that one before and this one after. Just that little change has really introduced some life to it. And maybe I want to put in a little more contrast. Maybe I just want to take the highlights down. I don't know. I could try the offset a bit. There we go. See, this looks, from my eye, even just this simple little bit of messing around has made it look a lot better. We've got a bit more color in there. We've got a bit more vibrance. If we look, this is after what I've adjusted compared to what I had before. This looks very washed out, a little on the gray side. And now, just with that, suddenly it's a lot more alive and it's a lot more vibrant and it's a lot more engaging. So I would use coloring mostly for this kind of thing. Does anyone have some questions about that at all?
Which setting was that? Sorry. Which setting was that specifically to make the color pop like that?
So I'll click on this old clip and we can look. See down the bottom here where it says saturation, S-A-T. S-A-T.
Okay, saturation.
And that's going to be under any of them, basically.
Okay. What
I think the difference is with these is just the different approaches to how to adjust the colors. The log wheels, the color bars, or the color wheels. It just depends, because some people have a preference of how they do that. And the other one that you can look at as well is to do with white balance. So I don't know if any of you have been shooting with cameras so far, but typically you set a white balance whereby you take a shot of absolute white and then you set the camera's white balance to that to make sure you get color accurate. But let's say for some reason that's off, you can adjust it here with temperature. So if I move this now, we can see this is making it a little cooler. It's maybe something you would want if you're shooting in tungsten light, because it adds like an orange hue, like if you're shooting indoor in artificial light. Or if it was the other way around, if it was a bit too cool and you wanted just to add in some more like sunshine, you can turn the temperatures up a little bit. And so you can see the difference there. You're going quite cold, quite blue, and then quite sunny, quite orange. Let's try it with this clip of the birds. So let's put a bit more saturation in. Right? You see how that looks a lot more interesting already. And then you could change the temperature. That's too orange, but maybe a little cooler is nicer. Yeah, minus 300 there. Actually, I think that looks quite nice. Maybe it's a little oversaturated, but you can kind of see what's possible with it.
Is this different than
just introducing a bit more color?
Sorry to interrupt again. Is this different from HDR? Kind of, when I thought of HDR, I thought of colors popping. I wasn't sure. This doesn't look like HDR though.
So how HDR generally works is it takes multiple images at different exposures and then combines them. Because, for example, if you took just a normal image of the sky and the sun is very bright, all the sky is going to be blown out and you're not going to get any detail. So what you do is you shoot one at high, one medium, and one low, and then you merge them all together. And so you get the details of the highs and the details of the lows combined with the midtones as well. Because just to take one flat image, you're going to lose either the high or the low end of the image. And so that's how HDR works. It's by combining images. And it's something I do personally when I'm shooting interiors for realtors or architecture, because it's very hard to get the details in the shadow and the lights at the same time in one image. But yeah, luckily we have phones that automatically do this. So we have a question here. Yeah, you're welcome. I hope that clears it up. But it's what I relate this more to is, have you heard of RAW format for shooting still images? RAW.
I have.
Yeah, so the raw image, if you capture just a JPEG, you just get this much information, right? You just get the flat information. If you capture in RAW, you get all these different aspects from the top all the way down to the mid to the low. And every time you adjust this, you're pulling out those details rather than just trying to adjust the 2D image. And why people use this at like super high professional end is if you're working on like a Hollywood production, you'll shoot video in RAW. So you'll have all that information rather than just the 2D image, and you can pull all the details out from any layer you want.
That's a good point. Another thing that to be conscious of is what the camera settings are when you're shooting images. So whether you're shooting on a phone or a DSLR camera or a professional camera, there's different settings, scene modes they're often referred to on the phone, or style settings. So I would make sure that you're not on an overly stylized scene mode or style mode on your phone that adds a lot of contrast and color to it. Because typically, if you want the highest quality product, you'll shoot it a little bit neutral, a little bit more on the neutral side, not too contrasty, not too saturated in the color. And then when you get it to this program, you have a lot more latitude to pull out information. If you start off with something that's very contrasty, then you're going to lose information in the highlights and the shadows. And when you try and fix it, there's nothing really to work with. So that said, just remember, probably one of the biggest things to improve your color quality is just wiping down your camera lens before you start, especially if you're using a mobile phone, because that's going to create blurry, hazy, crappy color. So that's going to be that 3 seconds can save you half an hour on the back end here when you're trying to fix it up.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting thing as well with professional photographers. We're in an era where everyone's used to just shooting with an iPhone or shooting with a mobile and click and it's done. But professional photographers will do exactly what Kaoru said. You'll shoot very neutral, and then from that neutral image, you in post-production will pull the aspects you want, and it's almost like a canvas to create from. And this in DaVinci Resolve also gives you the opportunity to do that to some degree with video, which is why one of the reasons it's so powerful. Okay. All right. I think we are nearly getting to the end. So what I would like to do is just touch on a couple more small details, and then I think we can open it up for a bit more of a question session, and maybe then we get some of you to share your screens. You can have a play with the color correction maybe, or some of the editing things. All right, so let's have a quick look at Fairlight now. So Fairlight is the audio engine, okay? And so it's like a mini digital audio workstation within DaVinci. You can see here, I've got my clips down here, which are playing, and as they're triggering, we can see the audio is here. So let me see if I can just pull in, I'm going to pull in an audio track. Okay, so I'm just going to put an audio track in, and I'm going to add it to my timeline. If you'll let me. Maybe I need a smaller file for that. Let's try that one. Okay, I think my DaVinci is just struggling a little bit, so I'm just going to restart it and I'll try again. In the meantime, does anyone have any questions about what we've covered thus far?
Okay, I have a question. It's going back a bit, so I apologize. But for the speed, I was watching on your screen, and then I went back to mine, and was a bit lost. So do you mind just showing where to go for the one where it was like things slowed down or things sped up?
Christopher, are you able to share your screen, and then we can guide you a bit and just make sure you're getting it?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, great. So if you right click on the clip you want to adjust the speed of, and then you can see about halfway up, it says change clip speed.
Oh.
Now, is that a still image? No, that's a movie, right?
That's a movie, yeah.
Okay, just double checking.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, this is a completely off topic, but I was wondering like how you got things to flow into each other. Then I realized you just drag it right into this section here, right? And it's such a neat little thing, right? You can just put different clips all the way throughout here, and then they can kind of, right?
Yeah, you know, a filmmaker told me once it's like a train, and each clip is like a train car, and really a movie is just a bunch of train cars on a train track. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it just visually puts that in there. Yeah. So click on it.
That is something. Yeah, there you go. And so you can adjust speed. For example, if you wanted it half speed, you could put 50%.
Oh, okay. All right, that's it. Yeah, that's all. I just wanted to know where to look for it. And that's good. Thanks.
Okay, cool. All right, and on this subject, actually, I just wanted to mention, I know we did the trimming in the cut window, but it is possible to trim everything in the edit screen as well. So if you ever need to just pull things about, you can stretch things out, you can adjust things. It's no problem to do that. I think just the main thing that we wanted to convey with it is it can be like a cleaner workflow to trim things, to pre-trim things before you put them in the edit screen, right?
Yeah, I think that's useful if you're working with like long interviews, for example, half an hour long files. It's nice to do it before so you keep your timeline clean. But certainly, it's very useful to manipulate the clips in the editing timeline.
And that's one thing, you know, you will look at times when you're interviewing and even jot things down. If if you're 30 minutes in and you think that's the really good part, right? So you can, and in the editing window, you'll see that time.
Yeah, anything you can do to help you with the post-production process is really recommended. Exactly what Shirley said. If you're filming something and you notice that's something you really want, to just note it down. And sort of traditionally in the older era of filmmaking, you would just kind of do that. Actually, you should just go through all your logs before you even did anything and just watch through them and just be like, okay, which bits do I want? Predating digital, even people would kind of be looking at these things and being like, all right, what do I actually want to work with? Yeah, and we have one message here saying I prefer trimming in the edit window. Yeah, for me, actually, I also mostly trim in the edit window, but I think, something that Kaoru spoke with me about is just useful for those longer interviews and just so your workspace doesn't get so cluttered, because mine definitely get really cluttered. And it's also why I haven't finished some projects, because there's just too much going on. And so and the other thing to bear in mind is that we are dealing with limited power on computers. So anything you can do that means your computer is using less resources is going to make your project run a lot smoother. So having 50 clips you're not using is going to slow your computer down. So you just want to, at some point in the process, kind of go through and be like, okay, I don't need this, I don't need this, and just clear up the workflow.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Ronan, especially when you're dealing with a computer that's maybe struggling with speed. It's something I often do is, even in just Finder on the Mac side or Windows Explorer on the PC side, just especially with long interviews and stuff like that, go through, make notes, figure out what the actual stuff that you're going to want to use, and only import those, because then you're not importing a bunch of junk that's going to slow things down.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And it can be a bit of a headache if you've just got like hundreds of files and you don't know which is which. It's really good, actually, when working with stuff, to actually just rename things. Is my screen being shared at the moment, actually? Can I just check?
No, it's not.
Okay. So maybe was someone else sharing their screen and is still sharing, or are we? Oh no, wait, here we are. Okay. All right. What about now? Yeah, good now?
Perfect. Looks good.
Oh, I know, I don't know why.
Oh, Ronan, are you frozen there?
Hello, sorry. For some reason that crashed my my computer. So I'll try it one more time, and if not, then I'll just I think that's okay, right? That's working now, right?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah, okay,
loud
great.
and clear.
All right. So frozen but not in Winnipeg, yeah, it's probably colder there. So for
Not 40
example,
below.
you can actually rename your clips as well. So let's change that to fire. Let's change this one to waterfall.
And just to note that Ronan's changing the clip names in DaVinci, not the original clip names that you're going to be finding in Finder or Windows Explorer, which would corrupt your project if you change those files after the fact, the original files.
Okay. And one thing I think it's important to touch upon here is, so remember we've edited this fire clip. So from the original fire clip, it's been color corrected, it's been stabilized, and it's had some sharpening. What I can actually do now is I can create a new compound clip from that. And this is fire edited. And I think that now it's going to run a bit smoother because it's got everything saved in there rather than having to render it each time. So I think it's better. And you've also got on the deliver window, you've got an option up here to render each individual clip. So let's say your computer's really struggling. You've done all these effects, you've color corrected everything, but you're happy with how they look, but your computer's just like crashing every minute. What you can do is you can actually just go through and click export individual clips. What it's going to do is it's going to create a bunch of new clips with all those effects built in that then you can import into a new program. So the software doesn't have to do all that processing every time. Like if you've got a super powerful computer, you're not going to run into this problem, but it's just if you're doing a lot of effects and things, this is a useful thing to know. So in the deliver individual clips, and then you can just render it all out. And the one thing I didn't mention, which is important, sorry, go on. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was just going to ask, if you did render out your individual clips, sort of bake them down to your final versions, how would you bring them back into the project and have all the timing decisions that you made on your editing timeline translate into these new clips? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it does it linearly. So it'll do it in the order that each clip is on the timeline. So if you were to circle them all and drag them back in, it's going to put them in the correct time.
Oh, okay, fabulous.
Yeah. And the one thing I wanted to mention here when rendering your final file is, you see here it says render entire timeline or in and out range. So you can actually just adjust how much you're rendering. So let's say you just wanted the first set, you could just render that rather than everything. Okay.
And that's super important. I'm glad you mentioned that, Ronan, because that's basically where you're going to select exactly what is your final video that you're exporting. So if you're finding that a piece is missing out of your video, that's when you make your final export, that's those in-out points are probably going to solve that problem, I would imagine.
And also you might find that when you're finished your project, you've got like junk files on your timeline that you don't want, but you want to just keep them there rather than deleting them. So you can just do it like that. So look, I feel like I've covered a lot of stuff, and I feel like we're nearly at the end, and I feel like I don't want to overwhelm you with more. So the final thing I would show you is just on Fairlight, you can adjust the volume of the different clips. So let's say the music's too loud, you just turn it down here. or you turn it up here.
And you would never put it in the red, right?
That's correct. Yeah, anything digital that runs into red is going to be distorted and unusable. So you want to be green and yellow, and just touching the red is okay. But once you go 0 or beyond, you can't use it, and it's irreparable actually if you output it on that quality.
And just to clarify, so you can, when you're using Fairlight to adjust your audio levels, that's basically track by track. But if you were to adjust your audio levels clip by clip, you do that in the edit panel, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can do it here as well with the volume. And actually, remember we had this screen up here to the right, the inspector, and you can just adjust the volume there really simply, top right. And also you've got an EQ in there. Oh my God, I could go into so much depth with this. The equalizer, but the equalizer is preset when you turn it on to roll off the top and the bottom, because you don't need that low rumble and you don't need the super high end on anything you're using. So you can actually just kill it all with that really easily. So yeah, volume, equalizer, and actually you can change the pitch there. I don't know where you'd want to. Just for fun. Okay. All right. Oh my, there's so much more I could talk about, but I think I've covered enough. You've kind of had like a condensed like everything about DaVinci Resolve in 2.5 hours. So hopefully you can retain the bits you need and focus on the major parts. And I don't know. I think you have all the information there. What do you think, Shirley? Are you happy?
Oh, I can't believe how much you covered and how, you know, yes, this test drive has been so impressive, and how people caught on. And when they had problems, you could just, you know, jump in. So I think people are comfortable, right? It's just like they've taken their first test drive and they've gotten to their destination okay. So it's really, really wonderful, Ronan. I'm just so impressed and thankful. And I think we're off to a good start for this video stuff.
Great, me too. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thanks for inviting me. And also, I just encourage you, if there's anything that you get stuck on, we live in a time where every answer in the universe exists online. So you can just look it up. It's great to have classes, it's great to have lessons, but if you're just working and you get stuck on one little thing, there's always someone who has a solution somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Keshav, you learned just by Google. So we have different experts, but Google is the best expert of all sometimes. Oh, thank you again. And I know it's 4 o'clock, and I know some of you have to rush off and pick up kids and do all sorts of things. So if you can just unmute for a minute and applaud Ronan and Kaoru for this great educational programming. Yay!
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Ronan. Thanks, everyone. So we'll see you on Friday. Okay?
Yep.
Bye.
Okay, so yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.